My friends, we are going to grow and get better together. This is not about me. This is about us. Welcome to Win Today with Johnny Martin. Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Win Today with your boy, Johnny Martin. Very, very excited to be back in studio today with my two very good friends and partners in this journey, Mr. Dylan Pilon from Cloud9 Marketing Group. What's up, D?
What's going on, man?
Life is good, brother. Thanks, as always, for being back. Donnie Cav, how are you, Donnie?
Good, John. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Glad to hear that.
Well, I also appreciate the fact that after about 45 minutes of intensive work, you were able to get us up and running so we could do what we love to do. You're doing a phenomenal job, and I can't thank you enough for your effort.
John, you're looking real sharp today. What do you got going on over there?
Oh, listen now. This is, I know, it's loud. The shirt is loud, but I will tell you, this came from, you guys know our good friend Anne-Marie in Australia.
Of course.
Absolutely.
So Anne-Marie made me through the Parramatta Eels. They are a professional rugby team in Australia. So they were able to put together for me, with Anne's help, a custom Parramatta Eels rugby jersey, which I figured, you know what? I want to give her a shout out and send some love her way. And so I figured I'd rock it for this episode of the podcast.
It's a great shirt.
It is. It's very nice for her. She's a great person.
And she is a huge supporter of the show.
Huge supporter of the show and all the stuff that we're trying to accomplish. And just like I told you guys before we went on the air, I had a chance to spend some time with her when she was in the States and had a chance to meet her and her family. And what a just a beautiful human being, a really, really good person. So it was a very humbling experience for me. Excited to be back, everybody. I want to talk to you today about something I heard actually just a few days ago. For those of you that listen to my podcast and are fans of other podcasts or other folks that are out there and you haven't ever heard of Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan is a not just a podcaster and a huge influencer throughout the podcast platform, but Joe Rogan, you might know him best from years and years ago. He was the host of a huge show called Fear Factor. He's also a stand-up comic. He travels the country and does stand-up comedy. And over the last, and I'm ballparking here, decade or so, has been the voice of the UFC, does all the color commentary for the UFC. And just a brilliant dude who I really enjoy listening to. But he had a discussion the other day with a fighter, and his name skips my mind, but they spent a couple minutes talking about this notion of, catching a break, and those people who catch breaks in their lives and those who never seem to be able to catch a break. And Joe's take, I wanted to expand on it a little bit today, but the short version of it really upset him, when he started to talk about this topic. And the word he referenced was, those people, those I can't catch a break people that we all know, they're poisonous. Essentially, these are poisonous people that you want to eliminate from your life as quickly as possible, because that poison will infect you. It's contagious, and these are just people that are not going to serve to help you grow or get better in any way. So that premise I totally agree with, but it really made me think and start to do some reading and research around the mentality around these people, these self-defeating people, or it's everybody else's fault. And so one of the things I thought I'd do for the listeners is talk to them a little bit about our journey in putting this together, sort of our backgrounds, our journey, and why we decided to use this space for me to keep doing the work that I love. And from a very personal perspective, share with people what this looks like every day, not just for the 30 minutes or episodes we have with guests, because I think it really flies in the face of this whole attitude of I can't catch a break. And we hear all the time, these people that, well, there are no opportunities for me in my field. I don't have enough experience in my field. And this stuff, all of this stuff, as I've started to really explore my own journey in my own life, it drives me crazy. It makes me absolutely crazy when I hear these things. And so I want to talk to you guys today that are listening about this I can't catch a break mentality. And in the hopes that you, aren't one of those people, but if you are, I think we all are from time to time, where we use that vernacular, nothing seems to be going my way. And so my question is, and this is a question, folks, believe me, I'm not preaching to you. This is a question that I ask myself every day. Are those breaks not going my way because of everything and everybody else? Or are those breaks not going my way because of me? And am I responsible for creating my own breaks, not catching my own breaks? And there's a huge difference between the two. There's a huge, huge difference between creating what you want to create in this life and in your journey, whatever space you're in, whatever platform you're on, and catching a break. It's no secret to anybody that listens to the show, and I'm so thankful for it. One of my longest, closest friends, WWE superstar, actor, sort of global phenomenon at this point, John Cena, has been public in his support of me and my efforts. And I'm certainly grateful for that. And so a lot of people, when they hear me talk about catching a break, one of the things they might say, well, he's got John Cena behind him. Wouldn't you say that's a break? And certainly at face value, of course, it's a break as we use the term. But I'd like to think the relationship I developed with him over 20 plus years helped me to create that break, not catch that break. I want to share with you a little bit more for the listener in terms of my conversations with John, so that nobody thinks that this just happens every day because of my relationship with a celebrity. When I reached out to John relative to doing this podcast, I reached out to him for advice. And for months, that's what he gave me, real, solid, friendly advice. And he told me a couple things that I'll never forget, and that they really serve as the backbone for what I want to talk to you guys about today. He told me never, ever, ever call an episode in, or never call your work towards putting this podcast together in the best way that you can. Never call one in. And what that means, folks, and you can translate this to any area of your life. If you're truly passionate about something, don't wait to catch that break. Invest all of your time, attention, and energy on creating that break. Don't ever call it in. If you're fortunate enough to have a job where you earn a paycheck, then you have a responsibility to do everything you can for that employer while you're at work. Don't call it in. If you're working on a project that you hope leads to something unbelievable, then you owe it to yourself to never call that work in. Never take a break. Don't take a day off. And that was some of the best advice that he gave me. And so, yes, he publicly supported me, and I am more than grateful for that. But you don't know him like I know him, and you don't know how he does business, because in his world, he cannot support anybody, whether he loves them or not, unless he absolutely believes in what they're doing. And so the nod I got from John, I take with so much pride and so much respect, because he does not hand them out just because you're his pal. And so, did I catch that break or did I create that break? I know how I feel. It's up for you to decide, those of you that are listening. Here are the facts around these I can't catch a break people. The facts are really simple. For every break you catch, there's going to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds that you will never catch, that somebody else will catch. They'll catch that break that you thought was supposed to be yours. They'll get that promotion that you thought was supposed to be yours. They'll get that new gig at work that you thought was supposed to be yours. They'll get picked for the team that you thought you should get picked for. They'll get picked for the team that you thought your little Johnny or your little Susie should have gotten picked for. The problem is when people catch these breaks or don't, they assume that there's no more work involved. And that's why we talked about this episode after episode after episode. Whether you're a I can't catch a break person or you seem to have caught a good break recently, when you rest, you are dead in that area. People assume, right, I caught this break. I don't have to do anything else. Geez, John Cena and some other celebrities have gotten behind my podcast. I don't have to do anything else. I can just show up, put the headphones on, talk about whatever I feel like talking about, and that's enough. And I think that is where people in any area of their life, I think that's where people make a huge mistake. They think that catching that break is all that they need. Nothing else needs to be done after that. So that's one fact around this I can't catch a break mentality, or there are no opportunities in that field for me. Guys, I am sitting in a room right now with a dude two guys who, you want to talk about a story of creating your own breaks. One guy started his own marketing company, okay, had a background in marketing. And when I say background, at a very young age, went to school, got a degree in marketing, and worked his tail off to learn as much as he could learn, to eat crap along the way, and said, you know what? I'm just going to start my own. I'm going to create my own break. I'm sitting in the room with another guy who works a full-time job, raises a family, has very little what we all call free time or leisure time, and he started a production and media company. He created a break. And here's a newsflash in the way of win today, hashtag win today. I have absolutely zero podcast experience. I have absolutely zero experience in technology, in software, in social media marketing. So what do? You surround yourself with really, really good people who aren't selfish, who believe in what you're doing, and you ask them for help. And I'm getting fired up, and I could talk about this stuff all day, because when we sit in that mentality that nothing good is happening for me, is it really about everybody else's, or is it about us? Maybe nothing good is happening for us because we're not working to create our own breaks. We look at mistakes and failures and we go, I can't catch a break. Mistakes and failures are not bad breaks. They're just that. They're mistakes and failures that should serve to help you learn and grow, if in fact you have the mentality I'm trying to talk about today. If you don't, if it's, well, it's easy for you to say, well, what makes it easy for me to say? I'm doing it every day. I'm trying to figure it out every single day. The other thing that people need to realize in terms of catching a break, rarely, if ever, I would almost say ever, but rarely, if ever, is someone just going to discover you. They're just going to find you in this haystack. You're the needle in the haystack, and someone is just going to discover you. There's over 1 million people in this country that do podcasts, and I'm one of them. I am a pimple on the podcast butt of the world. I am nobody. So I am not waiting for someone to discover me. I am working to discover me every single day. And my hope is that as I work to discover me, as I figure out who I am every day a little bit better than I was yesterday, then my reach will extend and more people can try to see the work I'm doing to inspire other people. This notion that someone's just going to find me, man, that's the stuff for after school specials and E60 on ESPN. For every one of those shows you see, every one of those documentaries you see, there are dudes and gals all over this country working their rear ends off to create their own breaks. They're not waiting for ESPN to show up at their door or the Fortune 500 company to show up at their door and say, hey, we listened to you a couple times and we think you're really special. So while you're waiting to be discovered, you're not spending any time, any attention, any energy trying to discover you. Who are you? Who am I? I'm trying to figure it out every single day of the week. You're that person maybe that has everybody else figured out. You're that person maybe that talks about everybody else. What kind of house they live in, what kind of car they're driving, what kind of grades they get, what kind of job they have. You're that person, but you have no clue whatsoever who you are. Does that hurt to hear? Well, I'm going to tell you, how do I know? How do I know that? If you're listening to this, hopefully some of you are going, who the hell does this guy think he is? How does he know that? I know it because I was that guy for almost my entire life. I was that guy with so many insecurities that it was just easier to point the finger and blame everybody else than to own my stuff and get to work. I know that because I was the guy that could sit in a room and talk about everybody and figure everybody else out, but I didn't have a clue who I was. I know that because over the last year and a half or 2 years, I've worked every single day to try to figure out the answers to those questions that I was avoiding for a really long time. That's the premise for this show, guys. The premise for this show is not for you to listen to some person that maybe you've seen on TV or in a major sports arena or in a movie and say, well, it's easy for that guy to say because he's got it all, whatever that means. I'm sharing this with you because I'm going through it with you. When we started this thing, man, 12, 13, 14, 15 episodes ago, I told you that right out of the gate, that I am going through this with you, and I mean that. I'm still figuring out how to discover me. But I want to share some things with you that I've learned along the way that have been really, really helpful. And I'm hoping they are helpful for you. When we work on creating those breaks, when I'm working on creating this break to have a chance to speak all over the country, grow the numbers of this podcast, touch you personally, the person that's listening right now, how can I in some way touch you or inspire you or lift you up in a way that makes you say, you know what? Maybe just one part of what he's saying makes sense to me in my life. Maybe I can try that one thing that he's sharing. Maybe I can try that tomorrow, to write a different story tomorrow than I wrote today. Here are some things that I've learned along the way that are steadfast, guys. It is a long, long process, and it's a long game. What do I mean by that? If you think changing the way you do business for one day is going to change your life, you've got the wrong mindset. We have recorded a lot of these episodes. We've aired a lot of these episodes at the time of this broadcast. And we're not even close to the amount that it would require for us to try to help this thing continue to grow to a real level. Listen, I'm not going to paint the picture and pretend to be somebody that I'm not and that we're not. We are building this thing from the ground up. So just understand that it is a long game. Whatever it is you want to change, whatever break you're looking to create, if you think it's going to happen overnight, your mindset is not yet in a position to do the work. The other thing that I've learned along the way is we need to do a better job of practicing humility. That just because we've worked in a field for 20 years, it doesn't mean we know it all. Just because we know certain people that might be able to help us, it doesn't mean they can, it doesn't mean they have to, and it doesn't mean they will. The mindset of humility means that we're owed nothing and we're appreciative, genuinely appreciative of all the blessings that come our way. You want to work to create that break, you better have a really good understanding that it's going to require way more work than you're probably used to doing. Way more work. Just to give you some perspective, at the time of this recording, it's about 3:30 in the afternoon, Eastern time. Okay? Everybody in this office has already worked a full day. From 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. When this broadcast finishes, I will go home and I will rewrite a blog for this show, and I will listen to the show again and take notes. Then I'll spend several hours with my children so that I can enjoy being a dad. And then when they go to bed at 8:30 or so tonight, I will stay up till probably midnight, reaching out to future guests, creating new show notes, doing more research, and reading to try to expand the product and the reach. And that is what a day looks like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and on Sundays as well after my family day is finished. I share that with you because we don't just show up and go. So in order for you guys, for me, for anybody to work on creating your own breaks, you have to get of the mindset as soon as you possibly can that it's going to require a lot more work than you're probably used to doing. I look at it as I have a full-time job on top of a full-time job. And once I developed that mindset and was okay with it, and not only okay with it, but love it. Once you get to a place where you love the stuff that sucks, the sky is the limit. When I finished my full-time job today and I knew I was getting in my truck to come see these guys, I wasn't, oh man, I got to go do a podcast. I was, yes, let's go. And when I walked into the office, I looked at those dudes and I was like, hey, I'm ready today. I am ready to go. Because it's a passion. It's my purpose. It's not something that I have to do. I'm not waiting for someone to find me and say, hey, you're really good at this. You could do this on a national level. Guess what? I have enough confidence and faith in my ability and the team of people I have around me to know damn well I can do it at a national and global level. And if you think we're aiming for anything else, then you're still not getting the premise of this episode, because I'm not waiting to catch a break. I'm waiting to create one. I'm going to keep grinding to create one. So I've got a full-time job on top of a full-time job. And I also take great pride in the fact that my faith and my family come before any of it. Well, how do you possibly fit it all in? Well, what we do is we eliminate all the stuff that doesn't feed our why. We eat the humble pie. We put ourselves in positions maybe where we have to volunteer, maybe where we have to do an internship, maybe where we have to take time to surround ourselves with people that know more than we know. And maybe we have to listen to people that know more than we know. Get ready to sacrifice from friends, from social gatherings, from all the extra stuff that we feel like we're just allowed to do because that's what life says. Whose life? Measured against what? We're talking right now about what you want to create for you. If you want to do all those things, all that extra stuff, I wouldn't expect to catch that break anytime real soon. The other thing I think that's been super helpful for me is I research, I read, and I reach out like crazy. If you don't take anything else away, those 3 R's, research, read, and reach out like crazy. I reach out on average to 5 or 10 different people I've never met in my life every day of the week, either to have as guests on my podcast, to introduce myself, to pick their brain about something I'm interested in, because I know that they know more than I know. And the only way that I can learn new things and grow is by tapping into people that know more than I know. So research, read, and reach out. Eliminate as many possible distractions as you can that take you away from whatever your break is. Whatever break you're trying to create, you better eliminate the stuff that stands in the way of it, or you're never going to reach it. If you're not creating or chasing something that you're passionate about, the likelihood of reaching it is very, very slim. 2 other quick pieces that I think are super important and can be started right away. A shout out and thank you to Rourke Denver, who shared this with us a couple weeks ago. For those of you that haven't heard that episode, Rourke Denver.
No one's heard it.
Sure they have. They will by the time this airs. So for those of you that didn't get a chance to hear the episode with Rourke Denver, I asked him very clearly. I said, Rourke, one piece of advice that is rock solid for you that you don't waver from. What is one of the non-negotiables? And he said, trust yourself. And as I've been making decisions over the last couple of weeks relative to my family, my life, the podcast, yes, I still reach out to people. Yes, I still solicit advice. Yes, I do all those things. But I'm also having a lot more confidence in my gut and my judgment around certain things as well. Trust yourself. Don't wait for validation from other people. Trust yourself. And the last piece is, when it's all said and done, the reason why people fail because a lot more is said than is usually done. So get to work. Whatever that work looks like for you, get to it. Do something today, right now, when you park your car, when you turn this off. Do something that takes you closer to creating that break. whatever it is. Well, I'm in marketing. I can't get a marketing job because I don't have a portfolio to show people. Create one. Create a sample portfolio. Look at some of the companies out there that you admire, that you love, and create a portfolio for yourself. Write a new ad for that company. Write a new tagline for that company. You're an audiovisual guy. You're a photographer who doesn't have any clients yet. Go out and start taking pictures. We sat in this studio for weeks and practiced podcasts, content, sound bites. Practice, practice, practice. Just do the work. When you do the work, you're going to find that you're not waiting to catch a break. You're working to create your own. As always, I'm grateful for the continued support of the podcast. Be good to those you love. Let them know you love them, and have a great day. Thank you to Seven Roads Media and Cloud9 Marketing Group for co-producing the show. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on whatever platform you're on. Without you, I cannot continue to do what I love. You can follow me personally on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at RealJohnCMartin. I'd love to hear from you, so please reach out with comments and questions after each episode. Your comments push me to get better every day. As always, thank you for your continued support, and don't forget, win today.